Hello, my dear ones. I am so glad you are here with me today, because when you arrive at a teaching like this, it is never by accident. Something inside you is already ready to soften, ready to open, ready to receive in a new way. And I want to begin by saying this very gently, very clearly, so your heart can hear it before your mind tries to analyze it. Your good does not come from one place, one person, one circumstance, or one door. Your good comes from everywhere and everyone. When you truly begin to understand this, a great weight lifts from your shoulders. You stop clinging. You stop chasing. You stop fearing that if one thing doesn't work out, everything is lost. Life becomes kinder, wider, and far more generous than you were ever taught to expect. For so many years, many of us lived with a scarcity mindset without even realizing it. We were taught, subtly or directly, that there is only so much to go around, only so much love, only so much opportunity, only so much money, only so many chances. And when you believe that, you tighten, you guard, you compete, you worry. But I want you to hear this now and let it sink into your body. The universe does not operate on scarcity. Scarcity is a belief, not a law of life. The universe is endlessly creative. It does not rely on a single source to bring you good. It has infinite channels, infinite pathways, infinite ideas. When you limit the source, you limit the flow. When you release that limitation, the flow begins to move again, often in ways that surprise you. I want to say something that may feel very freeing to you. You do not need to know how your good will come. That is not your job. Your job is not to control the route. Your job is to remain open. When you insist that good must come in one specific way, from one specific person, through one specific outcome, you unknowingly close the door to countless other possibilities. Life is far more imaginative than we are. Sometimes what looks like a delay is a redirection. Sometimes what looks like a rejection is protection. Sometimes what feels like an ending is actually an opening you cannot see yet. This is why I so often remind people that good does not come in straight lines. It curves, it wanders, it weaves, and yet it always knows how to find you. Think for a moment about how many blessings in your life arrived in unexpected ways. A conversation you didn't plan to have, a change you resisted at first, a door that closed and forced you to look somewhere new. Good rarely announces itself in advance. It arrives quietly, sometimes disguised as inconvenience, sometimes wearing clothes you did not recognize at first. And when you begin to trust this, truly trust it, your nervous system relaxes. You stop fighting life. You begin to cooperate with it. You begin to say, I don't see it yet, but I trust that something is unfolding for me. That trust alone shifts your energy and makes you more receptive to what wants to come next. Now, let us talk about perception, because perception is one of the most powerful tools you have. What you look for, you find. This is not just a spiritual idea. It is how the brain works. When you decide to look for good, your awareness sharpens. Your intuition becomes clearer. You begin to notice opportunities, kindness, synchronicities that were always there but previously invisible to you. I often encourage people to practice noticing at least 3 small good things each day, especially things that feel random or ordinary. A kind smile, a moment of ease, something working out just a little better than expected. These are not trivial. They are signals. They are evidence that life is supporting you in countless quiet ways. And I want you to understand something very important here. Seeing good does not mean denying pain. It means you are training your awareness to recognize support alongside challenge. Both can exist at the same time. When you only look for what is wrong, the world feels hostile. When you allow yourself to see what is right as well, the world feels more balanced, more workable, more friendly. This shift alone can change the way you move through your days. You become less defensive, less tense, more present, more trusting. And when you trust life, life seems to trust you back. Now let us gently move into something even deeper. People. For many of us, this is where resistance shows up. It is easy to believe that good can come from situations or events. It is harder to believe that good can come from everyone. And yet, every person you meet carries something for you. Sometimes it is encouragement. Sometimes it is opportunity. Sometimes it is a mirror. Sometimes it is a lesson that helps you grow stronger, clearer, or more compassionate. Not every interaction feels pleasant, but every interaction can be meaningful when you are willing to learn rather than resist. When you meet someone who challenges you, you have a choice. You can close, blame, harden, and shrink, or you can become curious. Curiosity opens doors that resistance slams shut. When you shift from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this teaching me?" your power returns to you. You are no longer a victim of circumstances or people. You become a conscious participant in your own growth. And from that place, even difficult encounters lose their sting more quickly, because you understand that they are not here to diminish you, but to refine you. I want you to hear this very clearly. You do not have to like everyone to receive good from everyone. You do not have to approve of behavior to learn from an experience. You do not have to stay in harmful situations to acknowledge that something valuable was gained. Good does not mean comfort at all times. Good means growth, clarity, alignment, and deeper self-respect. And when you look back on your life honestly, you may notice that some of your greatest inner expansions came from moments that were uncomfortable at the time. As you begin to live with this understanding, something beautiful happens inside you. You stop tightening around people. You stop expecting others to be the sole source of your happiness or security. You stop fearing that one person's rejection means you are unloved or unworthy. You realize that life has many messengers, many helpers, many pathways. This realization brings tremendous freedom. You become less desperate and more grounded, less attached and more open. And from that open state, you naturally attract experiences that match your trust. So today, I invite you to gently hold this truth in your heart and let it work on you from the inside. Your good comes from everywhere and everyone. You do not need to force it. You do not need to chase it. You only need to be willing to see it, to receive it, and to stop limiting the ways it is allowed to arrive. As you soften your beliefs, life softens its approach to you. And as you open your awareness, blessings begin to reveal themselves in places you may never have looked before. I want to begin by sharing something very personal with you, something that took me many years to truly understand, even after I had been teaching these ideas for a long time. There was a period in my life when I believed I was doing everything right, and yet I still felt afraid that if one situation failed, if one person walked away, if one opportunity disappeared, then everything would collapse. I did not realize it then, but I was quietly believing that my good came from only a few fragile sources, and that belief made me tense, vigilant, and tired. The day I finally saw this pattern clearly was the day something inside me softened, because I understood that I had been trying to protect myself from a danger that did not actually exist. My good had never been dependent on one door, one person, or one condition. It had always been flowing toward me from many directions at once, waiting for me to stop narrowing the channel. So let me say this to you gently now, as if we were sitting together, having a quiet conversation. When you arrive at a teaching like this, it is never by accident. Something inside you already knows that it is time to open a little wider. And I want to say this clearly, so your heart can receive it before your mind tries to argue with it. Your good does not come from one place. It does not come from one job, one relationship, one bank account, one idea, or one moment of luck. Your good comes from everywhere and everyone. When you truly begin to live from this understanding, a great weight lifts from your shoulders. You stop gripping life so tightly. You stop fearing loss quite so much, and you begin to feel supported in ways you may not have noticed before. For so many years, many of us lived inside a scarcity mindset without even knowing it. We were taught, directly or indirectly, that there is only so much love to go around, only so much success, only so many opportunities, only so many chances to get it right. And when you believe that, your body tightens, your breath shortens, your thoughts race, you compete, you compare, you worry about being left out or falling behind. But I want you to hear this now and let it sink deeply into your body. The universe does not operate on scarcity. Scarcity is not a law of life. Scarcity is a belief that can be unlearned. The universe is endlessly creative, infinitely resourceful, and constantly responding. It does not rely on one channel to bring you good. It has countless pathways, many of which you cannot even imagine yet. When you limit the source of your good, you limit the flow. When you say, consciously or unconsciously, it must come this way or not at all, you close doors you do not even see. But when you begin to say, I am open to receiving good in unexpected ways, something loosens inside you. And when you loosen, life moves. I want to say something that may feel very freeing. You do not need to know how your good will come. That is not your job. Your job is not to control the route, the timing, or the packaging. Your job is to remain open, receptive, and willing. When you insist that good must arrive in one specific form, from one specific person, or through one specific outcome, you unknowingly block the creativity of life itself. Life is far more imaginative than we are. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually a redirection. Sometimes what feels like a rejection is protection. Sometimes what seems like an ending is the beginning of something far more aligned. This is why I so often say that good does not come in straight lines. It curves, it wanders, it weaves, and yet it always knows how to find you. Think for a moment about your own life. How many blessings arrived in ways you never could have planned? A conversation you almost did not have, a change you resisted at first, a disappointment that pushed you in a new direction. Good rarely announces itself ahead of time. It often arrives quietly, sometimes disguised as inconvenience, sometimes wearing clothes you did not recognize at first. And when you begin to trust this, really trust it, your nervous system begins to relax. You stop fighting life. You stop bracing for disappointment. You begin to cooperate with what is unfolding. You find yourself saying, I don't see it yet, but I trust that something is working in my favor. That trust alone shifts your energy and makes you more receptive to what wants to come next. Now let us talk about perception, because perception is one of the most powerful tools you have. What you look for, you find. This is not just a spiritual idea. It is how your mind and nervous system work together. When you decide to look for good, your awareness sharpens, your intuition becomes clearer. You begin to notice support, kindness, and synchronicities that were always present but previously overlooked. I often invite people to practice noticing at least 3 small good things each day, especially things that feel ordinary or unexpected. A moment of ease, a helpful interaction, something resolving itself without effort. These moments are not trivial. They are signals. They are reminders that life is working with you, not against you. And I want you to understand something important here. Seeing good does not mean denying pain. It does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means training your awareness to recognize support alongside challenge. Both can exist at the same time. When you only look for what is wrong, the world feels hostile and exhausting. When you allow yourself to see what is right as well, the world feels more balanced, more workable, more humane. This shift changes how you move through your days. You become less defensive, less reactive, and more present. And when you trust life a little more, life seems to trust you back. Now let us move gently into something even deeper. People. This is often where resistance shows up. It is easy to believe that good can come from situations or events. It is harder to believe that good can come from everyone. And yet, every person you meet carries something for you. Sometimes it is encouragement. Sometimes it is opportunity. Sometimes it is insight. Sometimes it is a lesson that strengthens your boundaries or clarifies your values. Not every interaction feels pleasant, but every interaction can be meaningful when you are willing to learn instead of resist. When you meet someone who challenges you, you have a choice. You can harden, blame, and close. Or you can become curious. Curiosity opens doors that resistance slams shut. When you shift from "why is this happening to me" to "what is this showing me," your power returns to you. You are no longer positioned as a victim of people or circumstances. You become a conscious participant in your own growth. And from that place, even difficult encounters lose their grip on you more quickly, because you understand that they are not here to diminish you, but to refine you. I want you to hear this clearly. You do not have to like everyone to receive good from everyone. You do not have to agree with behavior to learn from an experience. You do not have to stay in harmful situations to acknowledge that something valuable was gained. Good does not mean comfort at all times. Good means clarity, alignment, self-respect, and growth. And if you look back honestly at your life, you may notice that some of your deepest inner expansions came from moments that were uncomfortable at the time. As you begin to live with this understanding, something beautiful happens. You stop tightening around people. You stop expecting one person to meet all your needs. You stop fearing that one rejection defines your worth. You realize that life has many messengers, many helpers, many avenues of support. This realization brings freedom. You become less desperate and more grounded, less attached and more open. And from that open state, you naturally attract experiences that match your trust. So today, I invite you to hold this truth gently and let it work on you from the inside. Your good comes from everywhere and everyone. You do not need to force it. You do not need to chase it. You only need to stop limiting the ways it is allowed to arrive. As you soften your beliefs, life softens its approach to you. As you widen your awareness, blessings begin to reveal themselves in places you may never have looked before. And when you live this way, with openness instead of fear, you may find that goodness has been surrounding you all along, patiently waiting for you to say, "I am ready to receive." Have you ever noticed how easy it is to give, and how strangely difficult it can feel to receive? I ask you this gently, because most of us were taught that receiving is something we must earn, prove, or justify, and that belief quietly tightens the heart. Yet receiving, my dear, is a natural movement of life, just as natural as breathing in after you breathe out. When something good comes toward you, the first step is simply recognition, noticing without minimizing, without brushing it away, without saying it's nothing. The second step is acceptance, allowing the good to land in your body instead of stopping it at the door of doubt or discomfort. And the third step is gratitude, not as politeness, but as acknowledgement that life is communicating with you through kindness. When you move through these 3 steps, recognize, accept, appreciate, you align yourself with the rhythm of grace. Receiving does not require effort. It requires openness. It requires that you let go of the reflex, to deflect, to shrink, to feel awkward about being supported. You do not have to analyze why something good is happening or how long it will last. You only need to let it be here now. I gently remind you, I receive blessings with an open heart and a peaceful mind. I receive blessings with an open heart and a peaceful mind. I receive blessings with an open heart and a peaceful mind. When you receive in this way, you are not taking from anyone. You are participating in the natural circulation of life. And the more calmly you receive, the more life feels safe to give. Have you ever believed, even quietly, that good must wait until you are better, wiser, more healed, more deserving? This belief is so common, and yet it is one of the most exhausting illusions we carry. Blessings are not rewards for perfection. They are expressions of life's nature. Life does not ask you to qualify before it supports you. It does not measure your worth before it offers you kindness. The idea that you must fix yourself before you receive love, ease, or abundance keeps you locked in postponement, always almost ready, always nearly enough. And my dear, that is not freedom. You are allowed to receive while you are learning, while you are growing, while you are still unsure. You are allowed to receive on imperfect days, in unfinished moments, in the middle of your becoming. When you awaken to this truth, a deep relaxation enters your system. You stop pushing yourself toward some imaginary finish line. You begin to live now. Let these words soften you. I allow good to come to me right now. I allow good to come to me right now. I allow good to come to me right now. Receiving does not make you complacent. It makes you nourished. And when you are nourished, your natural generosity, creativity, and clarity arise without force. Life supports you not because you earned it, but because supporting life is what life does. Do you notice how tightly the body grips when you try to control everything? Control often masquerades as responsibility, but underneath it is usually fear, the fear that if you relax, something will fall apart. Yet the truth is very gentle and very freeing. The more you try to control the flow of life, the more restricted that flow becomes. Control narrows perception, allowance widens it. When you replace I must with I allow, your nervous system hears safety instead of pressure. You begin to cooperate with life rather than wrestle with it. This does not mean you stop taking action. It means you stop forcing outcomes. You do what feels aligned, and then you release the grip on how things must unfold. In that release, energy moves again. Solutions appear. Support shows up. Timing rearranges itself. I invite you to breathe into this truth. I relax and allow life to support me. I relax and allow life to support me. I relax and allow life to support me. When you let go of excessive control, you are not giving up power. You are reclaiming it in a deeper form. You trust that life has intelligence, and that intelligence is working with you, not against you. Flow returns when resistance softens. What if gratitude is not something you do after things work out, but something you practice before you see the result? This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Gratitude is not only recognition, it is amplification. When you express appreciation in advance, you signal trust, and trust opens channels the mind cannot predict. Gratitude tells life, I know you are already moving on my behalf. It changes your inner posture from waiting to welcoming. Even small acknowledgments create momentum. Appreciation for effort, for insight, for rest, for breath. Gratitude steadies you when results seem slow, and it keeps your heart open while life is still rearranging itself. You do not need to feel ecstatic to be grateful. Sincerity is enough. Let this affirmation anchor you. The more grateful I am, the more I attract to be grateful for. The more grateful I am, the more I attract to be grateful for. The more grateful I am, the more I attract to be grateful for. Gratitude is not passive, it is creative. It prepares the inner ground so that good can take root and multiply. And as you live this way, you may begin to notice something very simple and very profound. Receiving feels natural, trust feels reasonable, and life feels far more willing to meet you halfway. I ask this gently because so many of us were taught how to strive, how to give, how to prove ourselves, but we were never taught how to receive with ease. And yet receiving is not passive. It is an inner skill, a state of openness that allows life to meet us halfway. When something good comes toward you, the first step is recognition. You pause long enough to notice that support is present. You don't dismiss it, you don't minimize it, you don't rush past it. The second step is acceptance, which simply means allowing the good to be there without questioning whether you deserve it or how long it will last. And the third step is gratitude, not as a polite gesture, but as a deep acknowledgement that life is responding to you. When you move through these three steps, recognizing, accepting, appreciating, you are telling the universe that it is safe to give to you. This is how grace flows naturally. I remind you, and I remind myself often, I receive blessings with an open heart and peaceful mind. When you receive in this way, there is no tension, no grasping, no fear of loss. There is only a quiet sense of cooperation with life. Have you ever believed, even unconsciously, that you must become better, stronger, or more perfect before good is allowed to come to you? This belief is very common and very limiting. It suggests that blessings are rewards, handed out only after you pass some invisible test. But life does not work that way. Good is not a prize you earn. It is the natural expression of a loving universe. When you believe you must be worthy first, you postpone joy. You delay ease. You push goodness into the future instead of allowing it now. I want you to hear this clearly, without argument or analysis. You do not need to be perfect to receive. You do not need to fix everything to be supported. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. Readiness is not a requirement for grace. Openness is. When you stop negotiating with life and simply allow, the flow begins to move again. You may say to yourself, and hear me saying it with you, I allow good to come to me right now. This permission softens the body, calms the mind, and invites relief in places you didn't realize were tense. Have you noticed how tightly the mind tries to manage outcomes, believing control will bring safety? Control often feels like protection, yet it quietly blocks the very support we are asking for. When you insist on knowing how things must happen, you limit the ways life can help you. The more rigid the grip, the narrower the flow. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting that life has intelligence beyond your planning. One simple practice I love is changing the inner language from I must to I allow. That small shift relaxes the nervous system immediately. It opens space for solutions, timing, and assistance you could not have designed on your own. I gently remind you, I relax and allow life to support me. When you soften control, you feel less burdened, less alone, and far more carried. Flow returns not because you demanded it, but because you stopped resisting it. Have you ever tried being grateful before you see the result? This may seem backward to the logical mind, but gratitude is not just a response, it is a multiplier. When you appreciate life in advance, you align with trust rather than doubt. Gratitude before evidence tells the subconscious that good is expected, not questioned. Even a quiet thank you spoken internally changes your vibration. You may thank life for small things, unseen things, or anticipated things. This is not pretending, it is partnering with possibility. The more you appreciate, the more there is to appreciate. You can repeat softly, letting the words settle. The more grateful I am, the more there is to be grateful for. Gratitude does not deny challenges, it balances them. It reminds you that support exists alongside effort and kindness alongside uncertainty. Have you considered that some of your greatest blessings may arrive from places you have never thought to look? When the mind opens, creativity expands. The universe is not limited to familiar channels. Help can come through strangers, delays, redirections, and unexpected opportunities. When you release the need to know how, life surprises you in the most beautiful ways. During the day, you can practice noticing good as it arrives, an unexpected smile, a moment of ease, a kind word that touches you. Each time you acknowledge it, you strengthen the flow. You may gently remind yourself, good is coming to me now. In the morning, you can open your arms and declare your willingness to receive. In the evening, you can reflect on 3 ways life showed up for you through people or circumstances you did not plan. This practice trains your awareness to expect support rather than struggle. And as we close, I leave you with this truth, spoken slowly and lovingly. My good comes from everywhere and everyone, and I am ready to receive it.